So you will be taking care of the recording and
live stream, yes, Mataji.
the other
Yes.
things, etc. So shall I start the session
Yeah.
with a prayer? Okay. Thank you very much, Prabhu. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnana-Jana-Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauramani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Pashyata Deshatarine Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamutiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavate Sevaya भगवत्युत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्य ईश्वरम् ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. So last week we had heard the lecture by Sri Gaurangadas Prabhu about the three aspects of Chaitanya Leela, in which he had made so many points. And so I'm continuing for today that lecture. Before that, a little bit of recap. So he says that there are three things to overcome for our progress in spiritual life. We should be doing three things. That is overcoming our resistance to bhakti. And then we should offer assistance to the Lord and his devotees. And then also obtain persistence or steadiness in our practice. So in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, he chose the Gadadhara Pandit trying to leave Puri and to go along with Mahaprabhu to Vrindavan. Despite the fact that he had taken a vow of Kshetra Sannyas, that to remain in Puri throughout his life. But Mahaprabhu prevents him, even though his will was to follow Mahaprabhu. He submitted himself and he carried out the wishes of Mahaprabhu. So he says that there are two properties or assets in a devotee. One is the fruitfulness to the service that he takes and the vow that he takes. So this is overcoming our resistance to bhakti example that he gave from Chaitanya Charitamrita. And next, he is now going to deal with offering assistance to the Lord in his mission, and of course to his devotees also in their mission who are carrying out the orders of the Lord. So we'll come to the next episode from Chaitanya Charitamrita explaining this fact.
Who tries to follow these instructions. And therefore, Lord Nityananda Prabhu responds and is
it audible to you all?
Yes, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji. Thank you.
Says, Nityananda kahe, Ami deha tumi pran, deha prana bhinna nahe, eito praman. My dear Lord, I am just like the body and your desire is just like my soul. It is actually the soul which animates the body. It is your desire and your will which is animating me. The will of the master, the will of the Vaishnavas animates the life of the devotees. And what happens as a result? Achintya shaktya karatumi tahar ghatan je karah se kahi nahika niyam. And as a result of desiring to follow the instruction and the will of the devotees, inconceivable potency is released. So, Prabhupada writes in the purport, the jiva is insignificant. How come the insignificant jiva manages to do impossible things? So there are a few steps in between. When the insignificant jiva agrees to become an instrument in the Lord's service, and he agrees to follow the instructions of the Lord and his devotees. So
Hare Krishna Mataji, it has got paused.
Kumarika Mataji, any problem?
Prabhu, I think she has got logged off, so she will have to log in again.
I'm sorry, I lost connection. I'm back now. I'll just 1 minute.
Shall I play Mataji if it takes time for you?
No, Prabhu, I'll be able to do it, I think. Hare Krishna. No, that's not the issue. The issue is again select, reselect.
conceivable potency of the Lord is released, impossible things become possible and impact is seen. And therefore, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu uses Nityananda Prabhu as an instrument to demonstrate that in material life, skill is all powerful in creating impact. But in spiritual life, it is submission which is more important than skill, which is responsible for creating any kind of transformation. And therefore, Prabhupada mentions here that yes, Nityananda Prabhu agrees to follow Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instruction. And so Achintya Shakti means what? Achintya Shakti does three things. First, there is the Lord's Mugdhata. First is the Lord's Sarvagyata. Lord is all-knowing. Lord is aware about His power in every corner of the creation. But still at the same time, Lord also has second aspect called Mugdhata. Mugdhata means Lord becomes oblivious to His own power, overpowered by His devotees' love. So the Sarvagyata and Mugdhata both are apparently contradictory principles. So the Achintya Shakti's third characteristic is it harmonizes this Sarvagyata and Mugdhata And the Lord is simultaneously all-knowing and simultaneously overwhelmed and overpowered by love and is unaware. And so, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that it is ultimately the attraction towards the Lord which creates wonder and makes us dedicated towards Him. So hearing about the Lord with love, with gratitude, with sincere appreciation makes us sacrifice our own desires, and then we are eager to serve the Lord and His devotees more and more. And so it is described that the Lord is all powerful and all attractive, but it is the love within the devotee's heart which makes us hear those pastimes and understand what I must do in relationship with Him better. Similarly, also when it comes to reciprocating with devotees, that yes, we have to offer assistance, but it becomes easy and possible to offer assistance when we have feeling for the devotees. So it is the feeling and the emotion which actually makes us follow those instructions much more easily than if theoretically just instructed. And so Srila Prabhupada had 5 characteristics which made him extremely successful to establish a global movement. Srila Prabhupada appreciated all the devotees. Secondly, Srila Prabhupada recognized excellence and he gave credit when he recognized that excellence. Thirdly, Srila Prabhupada was extremely enthusiastic. Fourthly, he was very, very humble. And fifthly, Srila Prabhupada gave creative freedom to his devotees and allowed them to practice Krishna consciousness and spread Krishna consciousness, and Srila Prabhupada tolerated things when they made mistakes. And therefore, Srila Prabhupada actually is a great example of someone who demonstrated this principle, that by practice of Krishna consciousness, we can inspire others to also follow suit. When Srila Prabhupada was in Vrindavan, some of his disciples were trained to do yajna, and they were trying to do some yajna. And at that time, some of the local Brajavasis, they came and started complaining to Srila Prabhupada that their Vedic mantras, they're not chanting properly. This is not the proper chanting of the mantras. Prabhupada said they are just practicing now. So allow them to do for some time and then they'll be perfect. So Prabhupada was always encouraging and inspiring and allowing the devotees to do their best. And so Kaviraj Goswami, he also describes that when he was in Vrindavan, Tatibasya che sada brajendra nandan Shri Govinda Deva Nama Sakshat Madan. He is there in the temple of Radha Govinda Dev, and millions of devotees are serving the deities. Sahasra Sevaka Seva Kore Anukshan Sahasra Vadane Seva Najaya Varnan. With millions of tongues, it is impossible to describe the glories of the Sevaks there. Sevara Adhyaksha Sri Pandita Haridas Tarayasha Guna Sarve Nahoe Prakash. And amongst them, the topmost is Pandit Haridas. And this great personality who is the best amongst the devotees, he is filled with Vaishnava qualities. And what is the supreme-most quality which he has? Vaishnavera gunagrahi no dekhaye dosh kaya mane vakya kore Vaishnava santosh. With body, mind and words, he is simply trying to serve the devotees and he does not see the faults in the devotees. Vaishnavera gunagrahi, he only sees the good qualities of the devotees. And he simply tries to serve the devotees. And Kaviraj Goswami says, this Pandit Haridas instructed me. Teho ati kripa kori agya koila more. He actually instructed me to do what? What was that instruction? That instruction was to complete the remaining pastimes which Vrindavan Das Thakur could not complete. Gaurangera Sheshalila Barnibharatore. That you should write these pastimes. And then he says, other Vaishnavas in Vrindavan also instructed me. And I was in a very old stage. And I was thinking what I should do. And so, being bewildered, he went to the beautiful deities. Vaishnavera Agyapaya Chintita Antare Madana Gopala Gela Agyamagi Bare. He goes to the deities of Madan Gopal. And he says here, Vaishnavera Agyapaya, having received the instruction of the Vaishnavas, Chintita Antare. So the word Chintita, we may think is, why was I given this service? But in the case of Kaviraj Goswami, his Chintita was, I have been given this service, how can I accomplish this? Because people like Vrindavan Das Thakur have performed this service to excellence. I must do some justice to this service. And therefore he goes to the deities of Madan Gopal, Shishi Madan Mohan Dev, to pray to them. And in this way he decides that yes, I will follow this instruction and write the Chaitanya Charitamrita. And therefore it is said, to follow the word of God is difficult. But more difficult than to follow the word of God is to follow the will of the Vaishnavas. But more difficult to follow than the will of the Vaishnavas and the word of God is the whim of Krishna. So the whim of Krishna is the most difficult to follow. Prabhupada's one disciple, he wanted to make him the leader and the temple president in one temple. And he did not want to take that role. And he came to Srila Prabhupada with a whole list of arguments on why he cannot become the president there. And then he came and offered obeisances to Prabhupada, and Prabhupada looked at him and Prabhupada said, I have a service for you. And this devotee was ready with his list of arguments. And he said, yes, Prabhupada. And Prabhupada said, I want you to take sannyas. This devotee got bewildered. He was not prepared for this. He said, sannyas? Prabhupada, I just got married. Prabhupada said, so what? You take sannyas. Prabhupada said, it's not possible. I got a small son. Krishna will take care. He said, Prabhupada, I cannot do this. Prabhupada said, no, have faith in Krishna. He said, Prabhupada, I am willing to do anything except take sannyas. Prabhupada said, become president. So it is not so easy to follow the will. But the most difficult is we are all preparing ourselves through the unpredictable will of the Vaishnavas so that we can ultimately match the random, total unpredictability of Krishna's constantly moving desires in the spiritual world and how we can reciprocate with that. And therefore, in the Upadeshamrita, Srila Rupa Goswami says that Atyahara prayasascha prajalpo niyamagraha. The things which are unfavorable for bhakti, one of them is prajalpa. And so, prajalpa basically means that some kind of talk which is
Hare Krishna. Let us stop here and reflect a little bit. I'm sorry that because of technical glitches, I could not complete this episode today. But anybody who was impressed by all the things that His Grace Gauranga Das Prabhu elaborated in today's part of the lecture? Yes, Sarvari Mataji.
Hare
Go on.
Krishna Mataji. Yes, so I like the statement that in material life to progress you need skill, but in case of spiritual life it is submission. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Yes, I was also touched by that part of the lecture wherein he said that the insignificant jiva, just before what you said, insignificant jiva, when he agrees to become an instrument in the Lord's service and agree to follow the instructions of the Lord and his devotees, because the Lord will not talk to us, he will talk to us through his representative devotees, then the empowerment occurs. The inconceivable potency of the Lord is released, and then impossible things become possible. So submission is the key to everything. Yes, you're very right, Mataji. I was also touched by that. Anybody else? Shweta Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Danvat Pranam. The entire lecture, I mean, everything was, it is like one sentence is clearing your things, and it was impactful, Mataji. But then, how Prabhu was explaining the Achintya Shakti, like we leave it, okay, it is beyond, we can't think it anyway, it is Achintya, so leave it. But then that also Prabhu was trying to explain in some way that simultaneously he is powerful and simultaneously he is overwhelmed. And the one which harmonizes these both is Achintya. So at least it's giving some feeling what can be this. So that was really very good, Madhuri. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Yes, the Achintya Bhakti harmonizing the Sarvajnata and Muktada. I think it is Muktada only. That is what I could catch. That is, the Lord is at the same time he is aware of everything, so he is called Sarvajna. But he is also oblivious to his own power. Sometimes he is oblivious to his own power, and that is the both are contradictory, and of course that is the Achintya Sakti, which harmonizes both these different aspects of the Lord. So very nice, Matani.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yes, Prabhu, please. Prabhu. Go ahead.
Gauranga Prabhu is in his typical style, very nicely narrating the pastimes from Chaitanya Charitamrita, especially when he was glorifying Srila Prabhupada, and the pastime that he was mentioning about that the Grahasthas, Srila Prabhupada is asking Grahasthas to take a sannyas. And this is something unprecedented, and this is what only Jagat Guru, like great Acharya Srila Prabhupada, only can do that. And the reason behind that, Prabhupada's, of course, Gauranga Prabhu gave 4 or 5 reasons of his success, and especially that at the age of 69, the success that he got is unprecedented in the history of the humankind, at least what we could understand or know. So Srila Prabhupada asking this disciple to take a sannyas, because Srila Prabhupada had such a unwavering faith in the holy name of Lord Sri Krishna, and he has such a confidence in the instruction of his spiritual master, and these were the two the founding principles of Srila Prabhupada, the whole mission. And when he started his movement, it was only the Harinam actually that initially 1965-66 what he started. So and then the whole ISKCON movement has actually today what level it is Srila Prabhupada's unprecedented faith in the holy name. So that is what Prabhupada was narrating, and that pastime is actually showing that Prabhupada's confidence in Krishna and Krishna's holy name. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Yes, yes, Prabhu. Also, Prabhupada's empowerment, we found out the key to Prabhupada's empowerment is that his total submission to the mission of his spiritual master, whatever order he had given him, instruction he had given him. So even though it took him a long, long time, but he lived by that. And that was the one which opened the inconceivable potency of the Lord. Because no ordinary man can achieve what he has achieved, as you said very rightly. He's the greatest and what he has achieved in that short period of 11 years is inconceivable. So definitely now we are, and Gauranga Das Prabhu has definitely highlighted how to open up that inconceivable potency in our own lives. And I also like the management qualities of Srila Prabhupada that he exemplified. All of you, many of you are working as leaders in projects, in software industries and things like that, in managerial position. And Prabhupada exemplified all those management qualities. He appreciated his subordinates. He recognized their excellence. Wherever he found excellence, he appreciated that specifically and gave them fitting jobs. And he was enthusiastic at the same time, as a leader should be enthusiastic. And he was very humble also to accept the suggestions coming from everybody. And he gave creative freedom to the disciples and tolerated their mistakes. So all these management principles, actually the ideal type of leader should be having all this sort of qualities. And he highlighted, Gauranga Prabhu highlighted each and every quality. And of course, as you said, his great faith in the Harinam, holy name, that was, and the submission to his spiritual master. Yes. That was really wonderful that he brought out so many leadership qualities of Prabhupada in this lecture. Anyone else would like to?
Hare Krishna, Ji. Over and above those points mentioned by you, two other points where one was regarding Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. So he was mentioning the whole pasham of how he accepted to write the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. In that connection, he mentioned, Prabhu mentioned that how did Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami think that he was given this service? How can I accomplish it? So instead of thinking why was I given this service, he was thinking of how can I accomplish it. So that's one takeaway. And also parallelly, he was not thinking of, he was glorifying the devotee who'd already written the Chaitanya Bhagavat, I think, right? So he wanted to extend on that. So he didn't think of it as a competitive mentality. So that is one. Another thing is, a great devotee does not see faults. He only sees good in other people and other devotees. So these are two takeaway points, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Yes, very well. Yes,
Vivek Prabhu, just in addition to that, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, it's such a wonderful acharya. When he writes Chaitanya Charitamrita and many places, he says that nobody in his book, in his book he would write that you read some other author's book, but he says that whatever I have mentioned is very less. But if you want more or more than that, you actually go and read Vrindavan Das Thakur's Chaitanya Bhagavat. And that shows that there was no competitive mentality, and he was always acting as a subordinate to Vrindavan Das Thakur. He glorified Vrindavan Das Thakur because his two biographies, Chaitanya Bhagavat and Chaitanya Charitamrita. And Chaitanya Charitamrita is Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, who wrote at the very late age, and Vrindavan Das Thakur, who wrote Chaitanya Bhagavat, which is the early wonderful pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Yes, bro. So I think it's about 60 years before. Somewhere recently only you were hearing that. And he also mentions that you guys must be fools reading my book. So he went to that level. Please go read Vrindavan Das Thakur's Chaitanya Bhagavat. To that extent he went. Hare Krishna.
Yes, very true. That he avoided elaborating on, say, Jagai and Madai's pastime and other things. For completion's sake, he has mentioned in short form and always said that this is written very nicely and elaborately, because the Adi Leela has been written very elaborately and nicely by Vrindavan Das Thakur. So he didn't want to go into it. Just for completion's sake, he mentions in short form and says that you refer to that other book for these things. So he concentrated on the Madhya Leela and Antya Leela more to bring out what he had not written. So such great humility of the Vaishnava, we should take lessons from them. Anyone else would like to?
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yes,
When Yugal Kishore Prabhu and Vivek Prabhu are glorifying Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami, I remember Maharaj when he started Japa series. He was mentioning in the 7 excellences of Japa. He was mentioning about Sachinandana Swami and Burijan Prabhu. Not only they wrote those books. I'm following that. Not only just that, he mentioned about Haripashad Prabhu. Haripashad Prabhu is a junior, and he was glorifying that he has just for the first verse he has given some 8 lectures and it is not still completed. He started with that, so I just wanted to add.
Yes, Mataji, the humility of our own Guru, His Holiness Rompada Samaraj. Yes, I have also listened. He will never use anybody's material without giving credit to them. If he uses a chart from Sachinandan Swami, he will say immediately upfront. So this is the beautiful chart given to me by my co-brother, like that. And he appreciates juniors or seniors. He was sitting and listening to Radhika Raman Prabhu's at Gita Nagari. The retreat happened last year. And how he was the way he answered, even when they both were sitting, and some questions were addressed to Maharaj from his part of lecture, and some were addressed to Radhika Raman Prabhu. And how open-heartedly, every time he gave an answer which was excellent, he said, he repeatedly, he glorified him and said, what a wonderful answer that he has given. So junior or senior doesn't matter to him. He's so great. That is openness and willing to learn from everyone. So many qualities are there in great Vaishnavas like him. Yes, really,
Also, as Mataji was mentioning, Lima Mataji, there's one more point, and that need a courage, Maharaj. For example, if he doesn't know anything, I mean, of course, it's not that everybody should know everything, but if he doesn't know anything, he would say that I will get back from someone, and before I leave, I will ensure that I have an answer for your question. That shows that how Maharaj, I mean, when somebody is on the transcendental platform, what is their competitiveness? This is all the modes acting on that, and the person who is beyond that 3 modes of material nature, there is nothing like that. So that's the greatness of these Vaishnavas like His Holiness Rampa Maharaj. And thank you, Mataji, for bringing that point. Thank you.
Yeah, very nice point she made out. Yes, he will write to, he'll take pains, write to his god brothers or whosoever is the expert, the juniors, whosoever is expert in that field, and get the email and then read it to us in the next lecture, next day morning, whatever. And even if he had answered somebody in his mind inadequately, in his mind that answer was inadequate or not, then he will come to the next lecture in the morning, first thing he will explain and say that I was not very accurate in answering your question. You brought up this one. So how many, to have that much transparency and saying that, yes, I was not correct. I want to modify my statement now. So many times it's really mind-boggling how much humility and how much knowledge he has. Everybody knows, but along with that, how much humility he has, and how much he is true to his own spiritual master. And somebody contradicted Prabhupada's statement in one of the earlier lecture, not very recently. Then he said, Prabhupada had said this, and that is enough for me. If you want to follow, they had quoted somebody else, some other, not in our parampara, so some other book written by somebody else. So he said, whatever Prabhupada said is enough for me. If you want to follow somebody else, it's okay. It's okay. So that's great. Yes. 706. Anybody has got any concluding statements, or shall we end here? Hare Krishna. Okay. Thank you very much for joining. Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Hare
Mataji. Hare
Hare
Krishna.